Is co-living legal? I get asked that all the time. This doesn't surprise me that you're asking me that. And then I think, why are people asking that? Both sides, right? Well, first off, is co-living legal? In general, I will say yes. It wouldn't be happening really if it wasn't legal. We wouldn't have large companies like Padsplit, because you can go to padsplit.com and their whole business model is doing co-living investing, rent by the room. Mark Cuban, the billionaire, right, is involved with that company. So is it legal? Of course it's legal. And in fact, cities, governments, everywhere, they're trying to solve this affordability problem. And they're like, okay, how do we do this? How do we do that? And they love, every time we talk to a city, government official, etc., they love the idea of co-living and what it can do and help in the affordability crisis. Now, why do people ask whether it's legal or not? I personally think partially it's because you're taking a single family home that was intended for use this way, and now a family of 5 to 6 people, and now you're like, hey, we're gonna add a bunch of extra bedrooms to it and have 8 or 9 people in there. So the functionality and the use of it is different. So is it legal? Well, partially it depends on the person, the investor that's doing it and how they're doing it. So just like anything, can you do things legally? And can you also do the same exact thing illegally? The answer is, of course, yes. And every city and states and whatnot are gonna have different regulations that you need to be aware of. So there are cities that say you can only have so many unrelated people in the same house. So if you have more than that, are you technically breaking a rule? Yes. Number 2, some people will be, well, I'm doing construction inside, I'm not gonna get a permit. Well, that doesn't really have anything to do with co-living per se. That would just be, are you doing your construction according to the legal guidelines that the city or government is asking you to do it, right? The other thing will be, so we talked about the occupancy, et cetera. Are there other pieces to the puzzle? So absolutely, you can go through the city, get permits, structure the house with 8 bedrooms, right? We just got one approved in 3 days. In 3 days in Phoenix. With all the bedrooms, the bathrooms, and it was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, right? So construction, fully that. Now, might those same cities and governments also require use permits?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I want to get into is some of that.
Yeah. So we'll have to talk about that too. You have all these different ways to operate and buy and build that, whether you choose to do it legally or illegally, right? That's your choice. Just like when you're driving down the street, it's your choice to drive the speed limit or not. You're deciding, is 5 over too much? Is 10 over too much? Everyone's making a decision for themselves. Is that one stop sign that you just rolled through, was that the one stop sign you definitely shouldn't have rolled through and you hit somebody, for goodness sake? Like, so could a decision like affect you very, very quickly and land you in trouble? Well, if you're not choosing to follow all the guidelines that you should, yes. And so hopefully videos like this will help people understand what to go and check with their cities and government to find out what they would like done. Now, co-living's been around for a really long time. However, it's way more mainstream now than it used to be. And this trend is not going anywhere. This is getting bigger, okay? It's because governments and all these city officials are on board and know that we need to do these things. But what do I expect? I expect more regulation to come in so it's done the right way more often, because there might not be a right and wrong way on everything right now. It's like a little bit of the wild, wild west sometimes when there's no regulation. You're not doing anything illegal, there just might not be any regulation on it. So I could see regulation on bedroom size, all that type of stuff that comes in. There might be, like with sober living. Sober living is when you rent out a house and people that are recovering go in and you can get 2 people per bedroom. So you can actually have way more people in a house than even co-living. But they limit you on how close those houses can be to each other in the same neighborhood. So I could see co-living possibly being regulated like that to help control how it's brought into a community and a neighborhood. But we don't have those things right now, right? So yeah, so I think we'll get more regulation, which isn't always bad, but it's, hey, so go find out what your regulations are in your city, do them, follow the rules, right, to the best of your ability. And if you don't follow rules, like crossing every T and dotting every I, I mean, one, you better be comfortable with that decision. Yeah. And because that could be the decision that comes back to bite you. So what are these regulations that we were just talking about in regards to co-living? Well, little bit of a vague response to that question, mainly because it will depend on where you're at. Yeah. So once again, you need to go talk to your city officials. Go to the closest investor networking meetup. Talk to the people that are doing it and start asking them, hey, so what are the regulations here? Right? Because there's some places that I mentioned, you can only have so many unrelated people in the same house, and other places that they don't care. There's no regulation whatsoever. So you need to know what the rules are in there. Now, most of the time, and this isn't the case for everywhere, but most of the time there is a permit required, right? Because if you didn't know, just changing out your flooring in most cities requires a permit, okay? Which, guess what? Most people are breaking the laws, right? They're just changing out their flooring without a permit, okay? So it's funny how many times people are willing to break the law, but they just think it's the status quo. And the city doesn't come after them because a lot of times they don't care about that type of stuff. But as you do more and more, well, guess what? Now you're touching sewer lines, water lines, electrical, right? All those things. I'd highly recommend pulling permits. It also helps you as well add value to the house, because if you ever need to sell, you got things done properly. And this is a huge point. Your liability is on the line. If a fire were to happen because of that electrical was moved and you didn't do anything about it, I mean, you could be held responsible, right? So you want to make sure, check all the boxes for you and do the best you can, and check for your area. So what I would say in general for most people, go get a permit. It's easy, right? Check first how many unrelated people you can have in there, and if it's against it, at least check, like, do they really care about it, right? Because like I said, there just depends on is that something important to them, and those type of things. So do I have any other thoughts on legalities and stuff with co-living beyond what we just spoke about? I would say we touched base on almost all of it. The only other thing is not legally, but maybe more humane in how you treat people. Is this isn't just how many people can you cram in, like sardines, right? It's no, these are people you're trying to create a healthy, safe place with adequate space, right? So whether there's regulations or not in some of these things, your build quality should be there. The amount of the space, the size of the rooms matter. Amenities, things like that, and cleanliness, taking care of the property. Don't be a slumlord. All those things, there's not necessarily always regulations on it. I just think we have a duty as, other Americans, helping people out to provide those type of things. So that'd be my big push.